Compared with me, he's a bloody what?
Drop it.
I'll drop it when I'm flaming already. Come on. Compared with me, you think he's a what?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
A gentleman. A bloody gentleman. Was that the word?
Yes, it was.
Oh, and what exactly is a gentleman? I mean, I've always been told it's a fella who gets out of the bath to have a Jimmy Riddle.
Don't be disgusting.
Well, why don't you tell me then? I'd like to know. I really would. I'd love to know.
Someone who treats me like a lady and not a dishcloth.
Now you're telling me you actually fancy the big soft Nelly.
You're the one who's doing all the talking.
Oh, I like that. You've been going on about him all the bloody week.
Well, you started it.
Oh, I like that. I started it. It wasn't me who was touching up in our kitchen the other day. I can guarantee you that.
Not that again.
Talk about the man who came to dinner. Did he know you were going to be on the menu?
You were watching for it, weren't you?
Oh, I knew he was after a quick nibble, all right.
That's how you just happened to come into the kitchen at the moment he was kissing me.
I just wanted to see how a gentleman goes about it. No, he's the sort of fellow your father had in mind for you.
Stop it.
Somebody with a bit of breeding for our Susan to improve the stock. Somebody they can look up to at the Conservative Club. Ah, well, Joe Lampton got in there first. And it wasn't the Conservative Club either, or the bloody Pudding Club.
I'm getting out.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm not going.
Oh, well, our little chummy Ian wants to see his playmates down by the river. Wants us to play sailors in his little toy.
Why don't you admit it? The only reason you said you'd come was because you smelled business.
Ah, and I need that business right now. Oh, well, all aboard for the Skylark. Bloody whoopee.
Better be going. Lampton will be here in a minute. Wouldn't do for him to see me here.
I wouldn't have much chance of talking him into the job then, would I? You think he'll come?
Of course he'll come.
He doesn't like me very much either, you know.
But he does like money.
Ah, yes, he's not driven by loftier motives like yourself.
Our ambitious Mr. Lampton needs every penny he can lay his hands on. His firm's expanding rapidly. I know for a fact that he's financially overstretched.
Lampton's becoming a serious rival of yours, isn't it, Toby?
No.
You know, it's very generous of you to forego the contract I'm offering and recommend him instead.
Generous of you to see it that way, Ian.
You know, at first I was quite hurt when you said you couldn't take it on.
Oh, it's nothing personal, Ian.
I realize that. I assume your firm considers this job, shall we say, a little bit of dirty work that might tarnish your shining reputation.
It wouldn't tarnish us, Ian. It would ruin us.
And instead you've decided to ruin Lampton.
Oh, well, somebody's got to do the dirty work, as you put it. You haven't got the guts to do it yourself.
Nor the stupidity, Tony. I intend to stay in business too, you know.
Oh, you will. As long as you follow my advice and don't allow Lampton to spot the same ethical objection as I did.
Don't worry. You made yourself quite clear. I'm fully aware what to tell him about the job and what not to tell him.
Good. I don't think either of us will exactly burst into tears to see Lampton back where he belongs, on a council house waiting list.
Either of us, Toby?
It'll remove a competitor for me. It'll also remove a competitor for you.
For me, I hardly see Lampton as a business rival.
Not that kind of business. I'm sure you've invited his wife today, too.
If I were you, Toby, I'd stick to management consultancy. If I want to consult you over my private life, I'll let you know.
Where's my bloody coffee?
Oh, I'm sorry, Julie.
You forgot. The conversation must have been very intriguing.
We were just having a friendly chat.
Well, I better be going. I'll see you in the pub later.
Oh, by the way, Julie, when the Lamptons arrive, Toby hasn't been here.
Toby? Toby who?
toy, did you say? Never put one of those in my Christmas stocking.
Come and spend the day on my little cabin cruiser, he says. Little cabin cruiser. Looks more like the Isle of Man boat gone a bit off course.
There's a girl on board.
Oh, well, that proves one thing.
What?
Can't be the Isle of Man boat. You wouldn't see her on the Liverpool landing stage. She wouldn't live.
I wonder who it is.
Didn't your little chummy and tell you he got a young bit of spare on board as well?
Why should he?
Well, I shouldn't worry, love.
Who's worrying?
I'm sure it's nobody important to him at all. If you spend 40,000 quid at the boat show, you get one of them thrown in as well.
Don't be facetious.
Oh, that's true enough. It's in case you get marooned on a desert island. You take her knickers off to make a signal.
Come on.
I wonder if they'll pipe us aboard.
Friends are just coming aboard.
Oh, good. This is the main cabin.
It's very nice here.
Oh, and the galley's just through there.
All right. Where do you keep the slaves?
I'm afraid we've only one on board at the moment. Susan, Joe, meet Julie.
Hello, how do you do?
Hello.
Julie's my sister.
Your sister?
Ian's told me so much about you. About you both, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Well, before we do anything else, let's splice the main brace, shall we?
Very good speech, Captain. But the thirst I've got after that drive, you better make mine a large main brace.
Lovely stretch of the river, this.
Very. Go on.
Well, I feel that my company is far from attaining its profit potential.
All I have to do is find out why.
Precisely. As far as I can see, it should be a perfectly routine assignment for you. Probably completed in a couple of days.
What sort of a fee?
We're just coming up to the lock.
How much?
Well, shall we say, £2,000?
Not bad.
I dare say £1,000 a day is somewhat more than you normally earn.
All right, I'm impressed. Why?
Why what?
Why the generosity?
Well, I said it may take a couple of days. Could take a little longer.
All right. I had a 2-day job once. Lasted longer than an elephant's pregnancy.
Well, this one I would have done fast, and you have a reputation for being a fast worker. In the nicest possible way, of course. Well, interested?
Well, I'm not bored yet. There's just one thing. Out of contract.
What about it, Joe?
I shan't have to study the small print too closely, will I?
Really, Joe, why should you?
To see if there's any clause in about her.
Who? Julie.
No, her, Susan.
You know, Joe, your subtlety is part of your charm.
Ah, well, I'm just subtly pointing out she doesn't come with any contract. Not even in invisible ink. Especially not in invisible ink.
You take the job, then?
I'll think about it.
Don't think about it too long. I want that job started on Monday. By Wednesday, you'll be £2,000 better off.
Now you're just appealing to my better nature.
The pub we're lunching at is round the next bend.
I'm enjoying this. Makes a pleasant change. It was nice of Ian to ask us.
I'm sure he'd have been very disappointed if you couldn't have come.
I was looking forward to it.
Hope your fellow's enjoying it.
He's happy enough.
Wonder what they're at, anyway. Joe keen on sailing?
Not exactly. Last time I saw him with a boat, it was attached to a piece of string. Our son was crying because he wouldn't run round the pond with it.
Well, if it's not boats they're talking about...
Is that the pub now?
Yes. Joe's in management consultancy, isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Oh, this is a pretty spot.
Is he involved in any way with Ian?
No idea.
Well, Ian's got his business face on. I thought perhaps Joe might be considering an offer.
Do you know?
No. Well, I'm sure one of them will tell you.
One of those for me, Joe.
Well, I'll go to hell. I thought I walked into a pub, not a bloody snake pit.
Oh, come on now. Isn't it about time we buried the hatchet?
Bury it, I'll part your bloody hair with it.
Well, I take it by that you're implying you're not going to buy it.
Shift your face, you're making me beer go off.
I'll give you a hand with the drinks, Joe.
Thanks.
I told you he liked me. Well, did he bite at the £2,000?
Not yet.
He's making it hard going, is he?
Mr. Lampton plays the game according to his own rules.
Well, he's not exactly Eton, Oxford, and the Guards, you know. I had a thought that might help us here.
What's that?
For the menu.
Oh, the menu.
Someone you know?
Someone I used to know.
Sorry I kept you.
You know him then?
Who's that, Joe? Oh, Mark. Gilly and I have met him in here once or twice. He's in the same line of business as you.
I know.
Would you like to order? I'm going to put some lipstick on.
I can recommend the roast beef in here. I've never been let down yet.
Toby, I want to know what's going on.
Now, Gilly, love. What do you mean, what's going on?
Is Ian trying to make some sort of deal with Joe Lampton?
Now, really, Gilly. Don't you think you ought to ask Ian that?
Toby.
Well, as far as I know, he wants Lampton to do a perfectly routine consultancy job. Absolutely nothing to get excited about.
Oh. So we're going to see a lot more of Mr. Lampton.
Well, only, I suspect, for a very short time.
I thought you always did this sort of job for the firm.
Yes, well, this time I just couldn't accommodate him. That's all.
You settle things?
There's one thing I'd like to get settled.
What's that, Joe?
Susan, would you like to, you know, freshen up?
Me?
Yes, you.
If you two want to be alone, why don't you say so?
Because I was trying to be polite. Golly, what's he really doing sniffing around here?
Oh, Joe.
You know damn well who your mate, Toby Jug.
Oh, Mark. Well, if you really must know, Joe, he's heard about the contract that I'm offering, and he's trying to convince me that his firm would be a much better choice than yours.
All right, I'll take the job.
Good.
Now, as your new business consultant, have I to tell him, or will you?
Tell him what, Joe?
To go and get stuffed. Where have you been?
Cutting flowers.
Oh, I thought you'd been to the woman next door to borrow a cup of sugar.
Nothing so common, dear. I don't go. I just ring. She sends it over in the Rolls Royce. You want some breakfast?
Made my own.
What do you have?
Cornflakes and champagne.
Cornflakes and champagne? What kind of a breakfast do you call that?
In a word, a compromise. So we had some left in the bottle we opened when we got in last night.
Well, you shouldn't have compromised. You should have gone the whole hog and had a steak and champagne breakfast. It's supposed to be just the remedy if you feel as bad as you look.
I wanted to. I couldn't face the steak. You know, this reminds me of one of the best Sunday morning breakfasts I ever had.
What was that?
Kippers and draft bass.
I don't believe you.
Oh, it's Janek. It was my first 36-hour pass in the RAF. Me and a mate, we really went on the town.
West End?
No, West Hartlepool. You know, I really must take you there sometime, Susan.
Oh, thank you.
You see this? I think we can expect another crate of champagne quite soon.
Well, sir.
That tip-off I gave George Wrigley, their city editor, has made their lead story this morning.
Isn't that corruption?
Well, I don't ask for it, do I? Don't even know where the champagne comes from.
Had a successful day yesterday, too.
That remains to be seen.
Well, you got the contract.
Wasn't hard to get.
Joe, you're never satisfied.
I suppose you're right, Susan. It's good money. It's a damn good job. So why have I got the fidgets?
Just don't get on with Ian, that's all.
Understatement. I can't stand the bastard. Anyway, I told him as far as you're concerned, trespassers will not only be prosecuted, they'll be kicked up the arse as well.
Do you mean to say while you two were bargaining, I was piggy in the middle?
Well, I don't care what you call it. He got the message.
You arrogant swine. If it hadn't been for me, you wouldn't have gone on the boat.
No?
And you wouldn't have got the job.
Had nothing to do with it.
It had everything to do with it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself last night. It's the last flaming time you'll see him.
Oh, is it?
No bloody danger.
The master's spoken.
Loud and clear.
Well, you'd better speak up a bit louder.
You what?
I think I've suddenly gone a little deaf.
Come back here.
I was only going off to do a few servile tasks, like polishing your shoes and clearing up the mess you left last night.
Very funny.
It's not funny, Joe. It's what I'm supposed to call living.
All right, let's forget it. I just don't understand it, that's all.
You said forget it.
I know, but really, Susan. Somerset.
Well, since you obviously won't let the matter drop, while you're dashing about the town all day and all night, I'm stuck here.
Well, you got everything you want.
Well, I've got everything I want, all right. Except the only boost to my ego is the gleam in the laundryman's eye. It's all right, I've still got my pride. Anyway, any woman round here will tell you the tradesmen are for later.
OK, Susan, that's enough.
Well, you said why Somerset? Not why Somerset, it's why anybody who doesn't take me for granted. As Ian didn't last night.
Last night?
Yes, last night.
You mean to tell me he's been at it again?
He only talked.
When was this?
After your umpteenth bottle of wine and your umpteenth pass at his sister.
You're exaggerating. What were you talking about?
Just wanted us to get together on the boat.
Oh, same cosy foursome.
No, just Ian and me.
You cheeky bastard. I knew I should have scuttled that boat while I had the bloody chance.
And then dinner at the little pub where we lunched yesterday. And back to the boat afterwards for a nightcap.
And what the hell did you say?
Do you really have to ask, Joe? Of course I said no.
Oh, go.
You what?
Accept the invitation.
What do you mean?
No, not to the boat, just the dinner.
I don't understand. You're serious, aren't you?
I'm serious, all right.
Well, what are you getting at? It's not a sudden rush of sympathy for me.
Look, Susan, I told you I felt fidgety about this deal. Now, £2,000 is a lot of money for a job like that. If you don't mind me saying so, even for a chance to get to you.
Oh, thanks, but What are you getting
I'd like to know more about it, and perhaps over dinner you might be able to, you know...
You bastard. You want me to pump him for you?
That's right. Well, it makes sense. I mean, if there is something bent about this setup, you've got a better chance of finding out than I have.
I don't think I'm hearing straight. Any time Ian Somerset's mentioned, you hit the roof. But the minute there's something in it for Joe Lampton, you're practically pimping for me.
Oh, stop playing the bloody school prefect, Susan. It's only dinner in some restaurant.
I might get more out of him if I went to bed with him. Has that occurred to you?
Of course it has, but I'm sure that won't be necessary.
And I'm warning you. You better not be too sure of me in the future.
Oh, hello. Oh, George. Yes, Joe here. Yeah. Very nice little piece for you, wasn't it? Well, I'm sure there'll be more where that came from. Ah, well, there is, yes. Something you could do for me, if you like. I'd like to find out all I can about Somerset and Company. Oh, you know them? That's right. Chairman's Ian Somerset. Oh, anything. Much as you possibly can. Look, I'll tell you what. Do you still use the Royal Oak? Yeah. Well, I'll see you then, about an hour then, eh? OK then, George. Susan? Oh, she's fine. She never felt better. Ta-ra then.
Julie, you know I'm expecting somebody. And you did say you wouldn't be down here this afternoon.
I'll go as soon as you tell me who you're expecting. And what you've hired Joe Lampton for.
I will not tell you who I'm expecting. It was very stupid of Malcliffe to even discuss the Lampton appointment with you.
I'm old enough and ugly enough to take an interest in the family firm.
Old enough, maybe. But sensible enough? I don't think so. Now, would you please go and play somewhere else?
Oh, the big tycoon. But why the sudden interest? You couldn't have cared less when Daddy was alive.
Are you going?
Make me walk the bloody plank. You don't have to tell me who you're expecting. I know.
Oh, there you are, Susan. I'm sorry I'm late, but I went back to George Wrigley's after the oath.
Lunch is in the oven. Who knows what it'll be like after all this time?
Where are you going?
I'm going where you asked me to go.
You changed your mind?
I've had plenty of time to think about it while you slipped out for a quick one. Plenty of time.
Ah, well.
What?
Behave yourself. Don't really have to go, you know, if you don't want.
I know. That's why I'm going.
Not bad. I bet your rent book's a bit of a laugh. Come here. took a bit of a chance phoning, didn't you?
How's the shampoo?
It's the only drink I like with everything.
Everything?
Everything. Very nice.
You like?
Oh, very much so.
It's quite a compliment from a connoisseur.
Oh, I'll tell you something else and all, Jilly. Champagne's not bad either.
I really didn't think you'd come tonight, you know.
Didn't you, Ian?
I hoped you would. It really has made this a marvelous weekend.
Thank you.
I hope there'll be more.
Joe? I'm so pleased you're working for Ian.
Oh, aye.
Let's hope it's the start of a long relationship. What exactly is it that you're doing for him?
Well, we don't want to talk about that, do we?
It's very good of you to offer Joe this contract, but...
Yeah,
Well, you and he don't exactly hit it off, do you?
hardly.
And if you'll forgive my asking, why Joe?
The real reason? Well, the real reason sitting opposite me now.
That's very flattering. Am I the reason? The only reason?
Now, we don't want to talk about Joe. Not tonight.
Light me a cigarette, will you? That was nice.
Very nice.
Thoughtful?
Especially.
Yes, especially. What are you thinking?
You really want to know?
No.
Right, then I'll tell you. I was thinking cabin cruiser on the river. £2,000 job. Very nice champagne. Girl like you.
Can't be bad.
Can't be bad. It's too bloody good. There must be a catch in it somewhere. Now, what is it?
What are you talking about? I don't even know what Ian's hired you to do.
Pull the other one.
Why should I know?
Because 1/4 of the shares of that company are in your name. That's just one little fact you failed to tell me.
Well, honestly, Joe, I have no reason to keep it from you.
Oh, I bet you did. Now, what are you and your brother up to?
I don't know. I was hoping you could tell me what Ian plans to do with the business.
I like that. I really do. I like that.
But I'm very fond of you.
You know, at first I thought it was simple. A little bit of candy floss for Joe to keep him quiet while Ian plays doctors and nurses with Susan. Very straightforward deal. For your brother.
Well, you've certainly been enjoying the game.
Yes, I have. But I don't like losing. I'm packing it in.
Lampton running home to Mother.
That won't work either. No, you give the job to your ass-licking mate, Malcliffe.
Well, you only got it because he didn't want it.
Yeah,
Toby turned it down.
you're lying.
Ian offered it to him, and he didn't want it.
we'll come back to the boat.
Well,
Have this one on me. Come on, George.
How did you know Toby Marcliffe was offered the contract before you?
Little Dicky Bird told me.
Oh, yes. Does the Dicky Bird have a nest in Chelsea?
Oh, aye, not only that. Somerset told me Marcliffe was chasing that contract. He knew that'd be a clincher for me, the cunning bastard.
Well, if you're so screwed up about it, why didn't you just chuck it in his face? You didn't say a word about it in the restaurant.
Hello, George. Oh. Aye, Joe here. Well, who is it then? William Haddington and Company. Have you any idea what the problem is? Oh, I see. Like that, is it? And that's where I come in, is it? Or so they think. All right, well, thank you very much, George.
I take it that was helpful.
Just another little detail Somerset failed to tell me. Very confidential negotiations are going on for a takeover of Somerset's company. He stands to make a bomb.
What's wrong with that?
The deal won't go through unless somebody is conned into doing a particularly dirty piece of work for him.
You.
Aye, me. He's setting me up as the mug.
So, tomorrow you go in and tear out the contract.
Oh, no.
Why, because you still want their money?
Not only the money. Now I want their guts for garters as well.
Got everything you need. Drink?
Often, but not now.
What's that?
Not when I'm working.
Yes, well, it's a little early anyway. Glad you decided to carry on with the assignment.
I signed a contract.
Yes, but...
But what?
Well, I thought after last night in the restaurant.
Look, if you want to talk about last night, we'll talk about last night.
It was a perfectly innocuous dinner arrangement.
Oh, aye. Only because I arrived just in time to make the after-dinner speech.
It won't happen again, I assure you.
Let's kick it into touch, shall we? Let's forget it.
Thanks.
There was one thing.
Hmm?
About the fee. I'd like it today.
Today?
That's right.
It's not usual.
I need it for personal business reasons.
Well, I'm sure you'll come up with the answers I'm looking for.
By tomorrow, I expect.
Then I'll arrange for the cashiers to have it ready for you before you leave.
Duh.
Is Mr. Somerset with you?
Yes.
Would you mind telling him there's a call from his sister, Miss Somerset, please?
I'm out and you don't know when I'll be back. Well, she's a nice girl, Julie. But between you and me, she's become a damn nuisance lately. She was very close to my father, you know. Hasn't been the same girl since he died. Totally irresponsible.
You know, I think I'll take these things over and work in my own office, if you don't mind.
Just as you wish.
Won't forget about a check now, will you? Sorry I'm late, love. Traffic on that bypass. You know, it'd have been quicker if I got out of my car and walked home along the tops of all the others. Hello, love.
What a visitor.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Julie and I have been having a little chat over tea, haven't we, Julie?
Have you?
Would you like a cup?
No, I think I'll have a drink. Would anybody else like one?
No, thanks.
Sure, Julie?
Oh, certain, thanks.
Feeling better after our little chat?
Oh, much better. You've been very understanding.
Not at all. I was glad you could come here and talk about it.
Well, it wasn't easy.
No, it's funny, isn't it? You think you know somebody, and then you discover you're mistaken.
That's what I want to talk to you about, Joe.
Oh?
About Ian.
What about Ian?
I told you he keeps me totally in the dark about what's going on in the business, but you don't believe me.
Oh, yes, that was on the boat.
Yes, on the boat, and I asked you what he'd hired you to do. But you wouldn't tell me.
That would be on the boat, too, yes?
I just want to convince you that I haven't been lying to you.
I'm convinced. I was in the office when you phoned today. And so was your brother.
Oh, I see. Well, now you know. It's how it is all the time.
He told me that you were... Now, what were his words? Totally irresponsible.
Irresponsible?
Well, are you?
Well, I won't deny that in some things I am a little impetuous.
Susan, you probably heard all this before.
No, that's all right. There may be a few little things I've missed.
Just as you like.
Has my brother called you in because the firm's in some financial difficulty?
Why should you think that?
Well, because of the way he's been running things since my father died. Believe me, he's the one who's irresponsible. He's been behaving like a spoilt brat with all his extravagances.
Oh, you mean like the Mauritania parked down there on the river?
Oh, not only that. His cars, the villa he's bought in on team, his womanizing. My father built up that business, and frankly, I don't think Ian's got the first idea how to start running it. I like my independence, Joe, and I'm frightened Ian's just going to ruin us.
Well, you know what they say, clogs to clogs in 3 generations. But you reckon your brother's going to crack it in 2.
Is that why you've been brought in?
Well, you've been straight with me, I'll be straight with you. I don't know the whole story yet. But I promise you this, as soon as I do, I'll tell you.
I really enjoyed that.
Fancy a brandy?
What, at lunchtime? It'd be dancing on the table.
Waitress.
Joe, stop it. You still haven't told me.
Told you what?
Why you asked me to drive over here and have lunch with you?
Look, Susan, if a man wants to invite his wife to lunch, does he need a reason?
No, he doesn't need a reason.
Well, there you are, then.
Here I am. And what's the reason?
Oh, well, if you must have a reason, let's say that I asked you to lunch because it's the 1st anniversary when I last asked you to lunch.
No, it's not. You're not that bad. It's only 8 months.
How'd you know?
I made a note on the kitchen calendar.
Is it? Well, let's just say my horoscope said today would be a good time to indulge your whim. So I phoned Raquel Wells, but she was busy.
So you looked me up in the phone book.
It was nice to hear the surprise in your voice.
It wasn't just the lunch. I thought you were working all day on the Somerset contract.
Well, I'm on my dinner break.
You haven't even been to the office?
No.
Are you going to pack it in?
No.
Oh. Thought perhaps you decided to pull out.
Uh-huh.
Are you going on with this because you need the money so badly? Because I think I could arrange a loan with Daddy just to tide you over.
Now, look, Susan, it's been a nice lunch. Don't drag Abe and his money into the conversation. It'll only give me indigestion.
Sorry. Only wanted to help.
Come here. Who does that duck remind you of?
What?
Imagine it with a yachting cap on. Now you've got it, haven't you? It's a dead ringer for Ian Somerset.
If you dislike him so much, why do you go on with it?
There's more in it than meets the eye.
More to Jilly than meets the eye.
Now, Susan, if you go on like that, I shan't give you my big surprise.
So you did have a reason for bringing me down here.
Come over here. Today, I'm going to give you a trip in my boat.
What boat?
There. Well, now you're here, I must invite you to the captain's table.
What luxurious feast do you have? Caviar and champagne?
No, potato crisps and light ale. How'd you like 'em? Plain or salt and vinegar?
Captain Lampton, you really know how to spoil a woman. Plain, please.
Wouldn't have a bottle opener, would you?
Funny, you know, I always carry one on a string round my neck. Just happened to have forgotten it today.
Well, that's that then, isn't it?
Looks like we're sunk.
Yeah, wait a minute. Hey, what we got here?
Oh, Joe, champagne.
Naturally. Actually, it's a stroke of luck. The bottle wouldn't break when I launched the boat. A couple of plastic mugs in that bag. There we are. Cheers.
It's lovely.
Yeah, river cool. Hey, I wonder if it's true what they say about women at sea.
You mean about making them romantic?
Aye. Hey, I tell you what. Let's find out. Come into the captain's cabin.
Cabin?
It's not exactly a cabin, but it suits the same purpose.
Your report won't be ready today?
That's what I said. I need another 24 hours.
But you guaranteed it to be in my hands this afternoon.
I always was a liar.
What's that?
There's one or two fundamental points I'd like to see straightened out.
Well, when will I have it, Joe?
Look, I've told you I'm sweating me cobblers off over this.
When, Joe? When?
Tomorrow, noon, in your office.
You won't let me down.
I don't know what you're worrying about. I'm the one who's losing money.
You're losing money.
Aye. £2,000 for 2 days, remember? If I spend another day on this, my pay goes down to a measly 666 quid a day. Let him worry about that for a while.
I don't know where you get the cheek.
I went to night school for it.
You haven't done a stroke on those files all day.
They told me all I need to know.
What are you taking another day over it for, then?
Look, Susan, speak to any eminent economist and he'll tell you. There's only 2 fundamental maxims to remember about business. One is never take any bloody notice of your wife, and the other is that it takes at least 3 days for a bank to clear a cheque.
Has he paid you already?
Of course he has. He trusts me. It's just that when he hears what I've got to tell him tomorrow morning, he might want to stop the bank paying me.
You're too late then, won't it?
Hey, you're Abe's daughter, all right, lass. Well, maybe I haven't done a stroke all day, but I'm about to pull 1 or 2 now. Put me through to Mr. David Price, please.
I didn't know you were friendly with David Price.
I'm not, but I'm going to be. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to be big muckers, him and me.
Don't worry, Ian. On the evidence in those files, there's only one conclusion that any business consultant can come to.
I don't like the delay with my personal financial commitments. I want this takeover to go through as soon as possible.
It's only 1 day. I'm sure it'll all go very smoothly. Give me a call when you get his report, will you? He's due at noon, isn't he?
Aye, but I'm a bit early. Still, you know what they say? Early bird catches the worm. Talking of worms, what the hell are you doing
He
here?
called in to see if the contract was still available. I told him you've already been working on it for 2 or 3 days. Sorry about that, Toby. Perhaps some other time. Huh?
Thank you, Ian.
Well, don't go. Stick around. You might learn a few facts about the genteel art of business management and its ancillary ramifications. Come in.
Julie, now what on earth have you brought her here for?
I'd just like to see brother and sister hitting it off.
Oh, now look here,
Hey, you sit
Lampton.
down. You pay me good money to tell you what's best for you. You turned out a right cushy number here, mate. Like taking toffee from a baby. 2,000 quid for a job like this.
What are you driving at?
According to these files, there's nothing for me to do. The moment you open them, the facts are screaming in your lug oils.
Then can we hear them?
Would you like to sit down, Gilly? Malcliffe, get to that chair, will you? Try and crack on, you're a gentleman.
Thank you, Jim.
Right, now it's perfectly straightforward. Over 50 of your senior staff are underemployed. There isn't enough for them to do. Now, if you want to go on making profit, the thing to do is to get shut of them. Sack them. Boot them out. That's what you recommend, isn't it, Toby? No, you bloody wouldn't. That's why you turned the job down. If I recommended that you sack these men, do you know what would happen?
I have no idea.
Oh, yes, you do, because he told you. Joe Lampton will become famous overnight as a hatchet-man.
Now, what are you talking about?
Whatever works I was to walk into after that. There'd only be one greeting for me, everybody out. There wouldn't be a firm would touch me with a barge pole if they didn't want to strike on their hands. And I'd be out of business, wouldn't I?
Well, if these are the facts, there's nothing we can do about it. These men will have to go. We're not running a charitable institution.
No. You're setting yourself up for a takeover. You're setting me up to do your dirty work for you.
A takeover now. What are you ranting about?
Your old rival, Harrington and Company, or rather your father's old rival.
And you promised Father you wouldn't sell out, especially not to them.
Just keep out of this. You know nothing about it.
That's the way you've always wanted it, isn't it?
Now, there's one other thing you should know as a major shareholder. If your brother wasn't letting orders slip away to Harrington's, there'd be enough work for everybody in this
All right,
place.
I think we've
You just wanted me to walk in there and chop the very people who built this place up. Because you knew they were surplus to Harrington's requirements. Well, it's a pity for your personal pocket it isn't going to happen.
Oh, isn't it?
No, you haven't a virgin's chance in a brothel. I had 2 phone calls to make today. One of them was to David Price.
You called David Price?
That screaming union hothead.
I don't believe it.
No, well, he will when he comes knocking on his door this afternoon.
When he does what?
Oh, he's taken a keen interest in the situation here. Oh, and just in case you've got any ideas for later on, I told him it had nothing to do with me. The whole scheme was proposed by this very smart business consultant over here.
You're bluffing. No union agitator would believe anybody in our line of business.
Oh, maybe not, but he believed Jilly, didn't he, look?
Oh, you stupid bitch. What is it?
Mr. William Harrington is calling.
Harrington. Perhaps I'd better call him back.
No, you better put him through. That was the other call I made this morning. Mr. Harrington was very grateful for what I had to tell him. He said to me himself, he said he had no intention of taking over a firm where there was bound to be a hell of a lot of union trouble. Yes, it's Lampton here, Mr. Harrington. Lunch? Oh, aye, certainly. I think I'm just about through here.